Good evening, and you're welcome to News at 6 from the studios of Big Family Radio here in Accra. Now, the top stories are: the AIDS Commission in Ghana has stated that Doma East has the highest HIV prevalence in the Bono region. Jumoro MP has highlighted the importance of empowering youth on World Population Day. And in the international news, Bill Gates drops to 12th on global billionaires list amid $35.2 billion decline driven by philanthropy. Former U.S. intelligence officer Glenn Carl have warned of their regional and global consequences of Israel's plan to forcibly displace Palestinians from Gaza. And in the world of entertainment, Esther Godwell has said that the gospel music is a tool for transformation and not just for entertainment. You can watch the live coverage on Facebook at Big Family Radio, Instagram at Big Family Radio, YouTube and TikTok at Big Family Radio and Big Family TV. You can as well download our radio app on the Google Play Store on Android and App Store on iOS. Let's go for a quick commercial break, and when we are back, I would give you the details of these stories and more.
Ken akwaba na didn't know what you saw.
Oh, so in my car traffic no more sense. But they forget it. You better have cemetery. Hey, Charlie, UPO silly a nice power. Shabaristas papi, kitchen cabinet, electrical works installation is also a very nice power. Where do you sabro you?
If I butcher a Ghana hire, a hoto AA construction works.
A hotel AA construction.
Just send a mid danger and nice to engine and assassination. I see a fake home. A hotel diamond team if I complete. It is a open building company. Our musi diner one who dinner a channel as we a fake home. A hoto AA construction works. Omuya dinosaur capitry work be a father and who be a hoto AA betting me I am. Oh, share me kitchen cabinet no papa. A one who dinner AA construction at Daramanti. Say bunny plumbing works baby a hoto AA construction the mushroom. Share me kitchen name a bathhouse. Plumbing works a wahinaya a hoto AA constructions. And a bun electrical installation and design works baby a hoto AA construction. Yamani City International Standard.
Oh, that's very nice. Shetali papa be a yelly. Painting see a very nice and unique. When so a hotel for a year, Anna.
And a bun tile in painting works there a hoto AA construction a master class. Quality POP barristers. And now fabrication of modern aluminium works are. But when it's true, a hoto AA construction works. A hoto AA construction works so on bathroom doors, wooden doors, BAB, say a single, double, and answer 1.5. A musa so to main gate or modi governance and a stainless steel swire. Trisha a hoto AA construction for a track a chamai, a bank, 3 junction, amasamai, and answer a samankes police barrier. From more number is 0547 118 843 and answer 0537 883 572.
Somebody else come pick you up.
You are welcome back. My name is Esther Gobli. Now the details of the story, starting with the local news. The Member of Parliament for Jumoro, Honorable Dr. Stofe, has emphasized the significance of World Population Day, which raises awareness about population issues and their impact on development, sustainability, and individual well-being. Speaking on the floor of Parliament, Honorable Stofe noted that this year's theme, empowering young people to create the family they want in a fair and faithful world, calls for a national and global conversation on the impact of population dynamics on social, economic, and environmental sustainability. She highlighted that Ghana's population is estimated to be over 33 million, presenting both opportunities and responsibilities. With approximately 57% of Ghana's citizens under the age of 25, the youthful population can be a powerful demographic dividend if harnessed through bold and intentional decisions. Honorable Dorcas emphasized that population growth can be a strategic asset, bringing an expanded workforce, dynamic consumer base, and greater national potential. However, it demands scaling up systems to meet the rising needs for education, healthcare, housing, clean water, sanitation, employment, and security. To address these challenges, Honorable Dorcas stressed the need for strategic, inclusive, and forward-looking responses, prioritizing investment in health, particularly maternal and reproductive services.
This important statement. Today, Ghana joins the global community in commemorating World Population Day, a day dedicated to raising awareness of population issues and their critical intersections with development, sustainability, and individual well-being. This year's theme, empowering young people to create the families they want in a fair and hopeful world, calls for significant emphasis on fostering national and global conversations that highlight the impact of population dynamics on socio-economical development, environmental sustainability, and the overall well-being of individuals and families. Mr. Speaker, Ghana's population is currently estimated at over 33 million, a figure that reflects both tremendous opportunity and immense responsibility. Our nation, like many across Africa, is blessed with a young and vibrant demographic, with approximately 57% of our citizens under the age of 25. This youthful population presents us with a powerful demographic dividend, but it can only be realized through bold and intentional decisions. Population growth in itself is not a threat. On the contrary, it can be a strategic asset. A growing population brings the promise of an expanded workforce, a more dynamic consumer base, and greater national potential. However, it equally demands that we scale up our systems to meet the rising need for education, healthcare, housing, clean water, sanitation, employment, and security. Mr. Speaker, our response to this challenge must be strategic, inclusive, and forward-looking. We must prioritize investment in health, especially in maternal and reproductive health services, empowering individuals and families with access to accurate information and quality services enables informed decisions about family planning, child spacing, and personal well-being. At the same time, our education sector must be restructured to match the demands of the 21st century. We must ensure that every child, regardless of background or location, has access to inclusive, quality education from basic to tertiary levels.
Moving on, Apostle Amayal Mack, chairman of Ambassadors for Christ Council in Techiman, has expressed support for President Mohammed's decision to convert the styled National Cathedral project into a National Cultural Convention Center under the proposed 24-hour economic plan. According to the clergy in an exclusive interview on Fabia FM with Apia Kubi, he endorsed the president's decision and described it as a pragmatic move prioritizing national interest. I support the decision wholly. Once the structure carries national benefit and serves the people of Ghana, Apostle Mark acceded. The NDC's decision to repurpose the project while in governance has raised concerns, with some accusing the party of a U-turn. However, Apostle Mark has defended a change in stance, noting that President Mahama should ensure accountability for the structure's original purpose. The land is for national development and public funds have already been invested in it. So I believe there should be accountability, which would make this decision worth supporting, he emphasized. He added that while the previous administration sought to use the project to promote religious unity, the current administration's focus on cultural unity is equally valid to serve Ghana's interest. He also highlighted that the project will benefit economic development, tourist attraction, and cultural display for the country's identity. The center can generate revenue and serve recreational purposes, thereby attracting investors to the country, Apostle Mark concluded.
So mampanyin the cathedral no be ya de fofra o ma yini kan hu kontamu na wo ho because obi de ne saka o use card ye bibinti exercise ka be fine no ye hu kontamu e wo ho so say asana be ye o minus asase ti say wono ma ye hu kontamu mu bia ho no be dan de na ti say kana ya bo agu no de exercise ka ya sere kwa me hu say be boy sen sa cathedral na e di babisi no no betim ne faso aba o minus sa cathedral no because what the program be ko so a betim na digiska sky ne ma bi ba cathedral no so program be be to ko independent square program.
Moving on to the local news, the Bono Regional Director of the Ghana AIDS Commission, Mr. Ahmed Ibrahim Bambila, has issued a warning regarding the escalating rate of HIV transmission among the youth, particularly in the Bono region. During an appearance on Gifts FM morning show, Mr. Ibrahim Bambila highlighted that the national HIV prevalence rate in 2024 was 1.49%. He underscored that among the nation's 16 regions, the Bono region reported the highest prevalence rate of 2.22%. Greater Accra leads in newly recorded HIV cases, followed by Ashanti, Eastern, Central, Western and then Bono region, which ranks 6th. He stressed that the prevalence differs from new cases, clarifying that prevalence indicates the rate of spread. This situates Bono region as the highest among the 16 administrative regions with a 2.22% rate, a concerning trend that must be addressed promptly to prevent widespread infection across the region in the ensuing years.
Last year, in 2024, HIV prevalence as a nation is 1.49. Now, when you come to region, Ghana, there were 16 regions. So, in terms of HIV prevalence, Bono region, here 2.22, the highest in Ghana, 2.22, as compared to the national, which is 1.49. But in terms of new HIV infections, Greater Accra, Bono region at the 6th position. Greater Accra and followed by Ashanti region, followed by Eastern, Central, Western, then Bono region. But in terms of the rate of spread, the HIV prevalence, Bono region here number 1, 2.22, and yes, and Papa, because if you have 2.2% of your population getting infected this rate, in the near future, all our population will be infected with HIV.
Still on the same story, he underscored that among the 12 metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies, MMDAs, in the Bono region, the Doma East district exhibits the highest HIV prevalence as 5.36%, positioning it as the leading district among the 12 in Bono region with the most elevated rate of HIV transmission, surpassing both the national prevalence of 1.49% and the regional prevalence of 2.22%. He noted that Brekum ranks second with a prevalence of 3.33%, followed by Wenchi at 2.46%, and then Sunyani Municipal at 2.22%. He emphasized that only the Sunyani West and German North districts have a transmission rate lower than the national rate, with the remaining 10 assemblies recording prevalence rates higher than the national rate of HIV spread, indicating that the HIV prevalence in the region is generally elevated, which is an alarming sign.
Over Bono region, there were 12 districts. 12 districts, the decline number 1, Doma is near 5.36%. The rate of which the HIV is spreading in Doma East district is 5.36. Very high, very, because more than double the regional figure and almost 4 times the national figure. Apart from Doma East, the next one is Brekum. Second, 3.33. Third, Wenchi, 2.46. And Sana Uba, Sunyani Municipal. Sunyani Municipal, HIV prevalence is the same as the regional HIV prevalence because it's 2.22. So, over Bono region, the 12 districts, they were Bono region. Apart from Sunyani West, any German North, the rest of the 10 districts, the HIV prevalence is more than the national figure. So generally, our HIV prevalence in the region is not good, it's high.
Still on the issues of the rise in HIV, Mr. Ahmed Ibrahim Bambila conveyed his concern regarding the prevalence of unprotected sexual activities, a significant contributor to the spread of HIV. He further noted that other contributing factors include the rising incidence of multiple sexual partners, stigma, and discrimination, which often hinder HIV patients from adhering correctly and consistently to their antiretroviral therapy to suppress the viral load to prevent transmission through sexual contact. Additionally, inadequate sexual health education, migration, mobility, and limited access to healthcare services due to the apprehension of discovering one's HIV status are emphasized as major contributors to the proliferation of HIV.
the rate of which people are engaged in unprotected sex. And that is why your condom use data is very low. So nipa bebre pet condom asem use it raw. So we use it raw, like exposed to getting the HIV infection. Nipa bebre so as our multiple sexual partnership. So you are at risk of getting HIV infection. Stigma and discrimination is also another cause. Stigma no ti mumbuami na mi family go ye na mi attain viral suppression. Even though I'm infected with HIV, I still have sexual rights. So I can infect people either knowingly or unknowingly. Inadequate sexual health education. And you see another problem. It's also migration and mobility. Limited access to health services due to the fear of knowing your HIV status.
I would advise all the youth out there to protect themselves. So before we move on to the international news, you can continue watching the live coverage on Facebook at Big Family Radio, Instagram Big Family Radio, YouTube and TikTok Big Family Radio, and Big Family TV. You can as well download our radio app on the Google Play Store on Android and App Store on iOS. Moving to the international news.
Oh, so in my crowd traffic no more sense. But they forget it. You better have cemetery. Hey, Charlie, UPO silly a nice power. Shebarist is papi, kitchen cabinet. Electrical works and installation is also a very nice power. Where do you sub you?
If I butcher, Ghana hire, a Hoto AA construction works.
Hoto AA construction.
So moving on with the international news. Bill Gates, the co-founder of Microsoft and one of the most prominent figures in the global tech industry, has seen a significant decline in his personal wealth, dropping to 12th place on the Bloomberg Billionaires Index as of 9th July 2025. Once the richest man in the world, Gates now holds an estimated net worth of $124 billion, marking a notable shift in the global distribution of wealth among billionaires. According to Bloomberg's latest rankings, the sharp drop in Gates' position is primarily driven by his continual dedication to philanthropy. Over the years, Gates has steadily redirected large portions of his fortune toward charitable causes through the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and other initiatives. In recent months, these philanthropic outflows have accelerated, outpacing the returns generated by his investment portfolio. Since the beginning of 2025, Gates' fortune has declined by approximately $35.2 billion, reflecting a 22.2% decrease in net worth. This downturn sets him apart from many of his peers in the tech sector, whose wealth has surged during the same period. The booming growth of artificial intelligence and soaring valuations of tech stocks have fueled massive gains for other tech billionaires, further emphasizing Gates' unique position as someone whose financial trajectory is shaped more than given by accumulating. While his ranking has slipped, Gates remains one of the most influential and impactful billionaires in the world, continuing to prioritize global health, education, and climate initiatives over personal financial gains. Moving on, Michael Steele, former chairman of the Republican National Committee, has offered a strong rebuke on MSNBC's The Weeknight in response to Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins' controversial suggestion that Medicaid recipients could serve as a replacement for immigrant labor in the agricultural sector. Steele expressed deep concern over what he described as a disturbing attempt to rebrand and reframe the lives and struggles of vulnerable populations for political convenience. Calling the proposal both unrealistic and dehumanizing, Steele noted that it reflects a broader pattern of rhetoric that treats people, whether immigrants or low-income Americans, as mere economic tools rather than human beings with dignity. He pointed out that many of those targeted by such policies are simply doing their best to navigate daily hardships and survive in a system that often overlooks their needs. For Steele, the idea that policymakers would propose such a solution without acknowledging the complex realities these communities face is both amazing and deeply troubling.
Ultimately, the answer on this is automation, also some reform within the current governing structure. And then also, when you think about, there are 34 million able-bodied adults in our Medicaid program. There are plenty of workers in America.
I really wanted to sort of get in front of people. Who are we talking about? Who's the secretary talking about? 34 million able-bodied individuals. So let's break it down. According to, very reputable people who follow these things, like the Kaiser Family Foundation, who's actually on Medicaid? Well, 38% of the people on Medicaid of that number are children. 17% live in rural areas. 15% have 3 or more chronic conditions, okay? But there's more. The foundation also finds that a majority, 70% of Medicaid adults are already working in America. They're already working. 30% are not working. Part-time, 26%. Full-time, 44%. And that 30% folks that are not working, guess what? They're not working because they have to care for other family members who otherwise don't get cared for. They have illness or disability. They have school attendance issues they've got to deal with because they're trying to better themselves even though they're living in poverty. It's amazing to me how they want to rebrand and reframe the storyline, Alicia, about human beings who are just trying to get through the damn day, who are just trying to care for a loved one, who are just trying to raise their families, and have enough to deal with in that vein, and then layer on top of that being poor and having to find health care wherever they can get it. And this program is there for them. And so now this secretary wants to ship them off and put them in a field because she thinks they're able-bodied and
Moving on, Glenn Carl, a former U.S. intelligence officer, has provided a detailed analysis of the far-reaching consequences that Israel's reported plan to forcibly displace Palestinians from Gaza into neighboring countries could have. Speaking on the matter, Carl emphasized that such a move would not only deepen the already dire humanitarian crisis in Gaza, but would also trigger serious geopolitical repercussions across the region. He warned that the forced relocation of Palestinians could destabilize neighboring states such as Egypt and Jordan, which are already grappling with eternal challenges and host significant refugee populations. Carl noted that this kind of population transfer could inflame regional tensions, provoke backlash from Arab nations, and further isolate Israel on the global stage. Moreover, he also stressed that the plan would likely be viewed by the international community as a violation of international law, potentially amounting to ethnic cleansing, and could undermine any remaining hopes for a peaceful resolution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Carl concluded that such a strategy would not only morally and legally indefensibly, but also strategically be disastrous for all parties involved.
It would be a terrible crisis for all concerned, for Egypt, for the Palestinians, of course, for Libya, if that were involved too. Egypt and other Muslim states have been quite clear for 60 years that they support the Palestinians but want to have nothing to do with them on their own territories. And that gets to the ultimate point, I think, of all of what's happened in the last several years, and frankly for the last 60, which is that the war has given certainly Israel greater security for a medium-term period, but it has not addressed any of the structural problem, which is that Palestine doesn't have a state, that Hamas is existentially seeking to destroy Israel without the capability of doing so, and that the fundamental problem of the Palestinians and the Israelis is not addressed. So this would just push down the road, as has always been the case, the problem, and things would get worse because there's less and less land for the Palestinians to conceivably have as a second state, and their suffering is getting worse.
And Hill-Lakid has provided an in-depth explanation of the United Kingdom's decision to designate Palestine Action as a terrorist organization, highlighting the broader implications this move could have on pro-Palestine activism and civil liberties. particularly the right to protest and freedom of speech. According to Akid, the government's decision appears to be part of a wider strategy to criminalize and suppress dissent, particularly movements that challenge British foreign policy or the arms trade with Israel. Palestine Action has been known for its direct action campaigns targeting companies linked to the Israeli military, particularly Elbit Systems, which manufactures weapons used in Gaza. Akid argues that labeling such activism as terrorism conflates legitimate political protest with violent extremism, thereby creating a chilling effect on advocacy for Palestinian rights. Akid further cautioned that this move sets a dangerous precedent, potentially enabling the state to silence activists and organizations that engage in nonviolent resistance. It also raises serious questions about the erosion of democratic freedoms in the UK, as it risks branding critics from Israel's policies as national security threats. In essence, Akid concluded the terror designation of Palestine Action is not just a blow to one group, it is a warning signal for anyone engaged in grassroots political activism.
What we are seeing already is the police in this country trying to either, intentionally or unwittingly or whatever, repress and intimidate people from expressing any support for Palestine. I've heard reports already of people being told to take off T-shirts that just say, I support Palestine. Merely the word Palestine being told, or you could be in breach of this prescription. And I think actually that was probably part of what the state and the Zionists have been pushing for this, and the Israeli government were hoping. It is an attempt to intimidate and repress and pacify the entirety of the solidarity movement.
To end the international news, a harrowing account has emerged from Gaza City, where a Palestinian man, Ibrahim al-Dali, became trapped beneath the rubble of a burning building following an Israeli airstrike that flattened his family's home. In a desperate attempt to survive, Ibrahim managed to reach his cousin by phone, pleading for help as flames engulfed the structure around him. His voice, filled with fear and pain, painted a tragic picture of the destruction caused by the strike. Despite his cousin's effort to alert rescue teams, time ran out. By the time emergency responders reached the scene, Ibrahim had succumbed to severe burns sustained in the fire. His body was pulled from the ruins hours later. The incident underscores the increasingly dire conditions faced by civilians in Gaza, where relentlessness airstrikes have left countless families displaced, injured, or killed, and rescue operations are hampered by ongoing conflict and limited resources.
الله يقويك يا ابن عام الله يقويك ماشي ماشي يا ابن عام مرة برد و10 لا جوالي هي مية سخنة بتنزل علي قاعدة من السقف قديش شحن جوالك يا الله 72 طب حاول ما تخلوش يطفي الدفاع المدني حاول يضل يرن عليك ادعي لك اما دير بالك حالك حبيبي يما
وهو من اضخم المخيمات حاليا على مستوى اشهد ان لا اله الا الله اشهد ان محمد رسول الله حبيبي الله
يقويك يا ابن عام
اشهد ان لا اله الا الله اشهد ان محمد رسول الله
ماشي ماشي يا ابن عام سلام
Moving on, now in the entertainment world, the Akuna Group, a global collective for creative and cultural innovation founded by Idris Elba, hosted an unforgettable viewing party in Accra for the newly released Amazon original film Heads of State. The exclusive event drew over 500 distinguished guests, including government officials, industry executives, entrepreneurs, creatives, communication students, and influencers. Far more than just a screening, the evening was designed as a celebration of storytelling and a strategic platform for foster connections among industry stakeholders, prospective clients, and creative collaborators. It also served as a bold statement of Akuna's growing investment in Ghana and the African creative economy. Held at the iconic Labadi Beach Hotel, the event featured a glamorous black carpet experience, immersive decor, branded photo installations, and premium hospitality, all curated to reflect Akuna's signature blend of innovation, style, and cultural authenticity. Heads of State, an action-packed comedy starring Idris Elba, John Cena, and Priyanka Chopra Jonas, debuted globally on Prime Videos on July 2nd. The film has garnered widespread acclaim for its sharp humor, thrilling pace, and standout performances. Speaking at the event, Maria Kalim Abwahin, Chief Operating Officer of the Akuna Group Ghana, remarked that this was more than a movie screening. It was a celebration of storytelling, collaboration, and the immense creative potential within Ghana, Africa, and wherever the Akuna footprint reaches. Gideon Kobani, Akuna's Group Global Head of Media and Entertainment, also added that they are deeply committed to Africa's ever-evolving creative space. Akuna is here to support, scale, and spotlight the talent and stories shaping the continent's future. Saturday's showcase was supported by Labadi Beach Hotel, Mad Mappers, Sound International, a company owned by Idris Elba, Wired Gear Pro Enterprise, Standard Chartered, Ville de Venay, ABL Club Beer, Akuna Pod, and Akuna Wallet. Rooted in the global south, Akuna Group operates as a creative powerhouse with a bold mission to become one of the world's leading entertainment companies, built on compelling storytelling, character-driven franchises, and immersive experiences across film, television, creative hubs, themed parks, and consumer products. Structured as a branded house, Akuna is building the infrastructure and capabilities to develop and monetize original content IP across global platforms. Its long-term vision includes leaving a legacy in family entertainment and franchise development, with strategic operations in London, the United Arab Emirates, the US, Ghana, Zanzibar, and Sierra Leone. Akuna leverages partnerships and investment to power creativity across emerging markets, guided by the belief that creativity is capital. To end the news, gospel singer Esther Godwell has strongly defended gospel music against critics who claim the genre lacks entertainment value and often feels more like a crusade than a concert. In her view, a gospel music serves a far greater purpose. It is a spiritual tool for transformation, not a platform for performance. Speaking in an interview with Graphic Showbiz on Tuesday, June 3rd, the reigning Teletel Ghana Music Awards (TGMA) Best Female Vocal Performance winner called on audiences to rethink their expectations of gospel events. When people attend our events, they shouldn't just look for entertainment. They should come with open hearts, ready to absorb the positive change the lyrics can inspire. Godwell stressed that gospel musicians are not entertainers, but messengers carrying a divine mission to restore hope and uplift lives. The gospel was never designed for fanfare or applause, but to bring comfort, warmth, and joy, she explained. While we may not entertain in the traditional sense, the light we carry has the power to brighten lives. She acknowledged that many attendees come expecting gospel concerts to mirror secular shows with flashy visuals and high-energy performances, but believes that mindset misses the point. This is not about spectacle. It's about substance. Esther also highlighted the ongoing evolution of gospel music, noting its expansion into diverse styles like Afrobeat, trap, jazz, and contemporary choir arrangement. While she embraces the genre's creative growth, she urged fellow artists to remain spiritually grounded. Gospel music is stretching its wings, she said, but with that growth comes the responsibility to keep our focus clear. Innovation is fantastic, but we must not lose sight of our spiritual purpose. Though not yet a household name, Esther is steadily rising in Ghana's gospel scene. She noted that a new generation of female gospel artists is emerging, bold, talented, and spiritually driven. It's not a competition. Many young women are building capacity and serving faithfully. Our mission isn't to replace anyone, but to light up more corners of the world with the gospel. For Esther, gospel music is not about applause or popularity. It's about impact, reaching hearts, renewing minds, and transforming lives through power of field lyrics and spirit-led performances. To end the news, a recap of the top stories. The AIDS Commission in Ghana has stated that Doma East has the highest HIV prevalence in the Bono region. The Jumoro MP has highlighted the importance of empowering youth on World Population Day. In the international news, Bill Gates drops to 12th on global billionaires list amid $35.2 billion decline driven by philanthropy. Former U.S. intelligence officer Glenn Carl have warned of their regional and global consequences of Israel's plan to forcibly displace Palestinians from Gaza. And in the world of entertainment, Esther Godwell has said that the gospel music is a tool for transformation and not just for entertainment. News at 6 was brought to you by MB Cakes and Pastries, Dim Hairball, Big Family Multimedia Institute, BFM Store, Trustees Network Group, Center for Trade, Ruth Fashion and Deco, Williams Pub, Ahonto AA Construction and Works. You can watch our live programs on Facebook at Big Family Radio, Instagram Big Family Radio, YouTube and TikTok at Big Family Radio and Big Family TV. You can as well download our radio app on the Google Play Store on Android and App Store on iOS. My name is Esther Gobli. Thank you for joining News at 6 from the studios of Big Family Radio here in Accra. Have a good evening.
Ken Akwabo, na didn't know what